Hey team, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to jump straight into answering the question, how long is it going to take you to become a competing boxer? Please make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the thumbs up button if you like the content. Right, let's jump into the question. I get asked a lot of times when we have new boxers that join the club, how long is it going to take me to become a competing boxer? It's a great question. It's a question that has more than one answer. So we're going to run through a few scenarios and hopefully one of these scenarios fits the position that you're in now and gives you a more accurate answer. So how long will it take you to become a competing boxer then? Yes, you can compete in 12 weeks under a white collar banner. Now this video isn't about the differences of white collar, amateur and pro. We are going to be doing a video on that. So if we've done it, it'll be linked either up here or down here somewhere in the description. If not, then wait out because it is a video that's coming. So let's get back to the question then. So in 12 weeks or 8 weeks, different white collar companies vary. You can go from a novice boxer, never properly lacing up a pair of gloves and properly training, from a novice boxer through to competition against someone that's equally matched. That's generally white collar. 8 to 12 weeks. We're going to be talking about amateur boxing. So for amateur boxing, you need to have a very good level of fitness. You also need to have very good fundamentals. So technically you need to be very, very sound of the basics, and you also need to have good tactical awareness. Now that's obviously a lot to pick up, and it's not something you're going to pick up in a week, 2 weeks, 3, 6, 12 weeks. So how would your route look when you joined the club from novice boxer through to competing boxer? We'll summarize the journey. So this is for someone that's never done any combat training whatsoever, absolutely brand new to the world of combat, never actually been coached properly to throw a punch. So they'll join the club. They will then build up their base level of fitness. At the same time, they'll start to learn the fundamental techniques, how to throw basic punches, how to do basic defenses. Once they've learned this, they will then move into sparring, maybe it be conditioned or technical sparring where there's constraints in place. Once they're comfortable here, the sparring will open up. Now, once the coach is happy that that individual, boy or girl, is comfortably sparring, is able to openly spar in their club, is able to adapt to the stress of sparring, is able to keep their good fundamentals, they will then be ready to move on to the next level, which is sparring at another club. So the coaches will go to another club, they'll take the boxer with them, and then they'll spar. Now this adds in all sorts of different stresses, the stress of a new environment, the stress of boxing someone they don't know, the stress of a potentially new style. So this will happen numerous times, and now once the boxer is then able to compete or have a competitive spar with various opponents from different gyms, the coach will then make that decision that the boxer is then ready to be moved towards their first bout. So that's how the journey looks. So let's take a boxer who has never done any training whatsoever, so no combat training whatsoever. They'll come into the club and they need to build up a good level of fitness, which will be done at the same time as building good fundamentals. So the first question is, or the next question is, how many times is that boxer going to be training a week? Now, if you're training once a week, it could be years before you're ever, if you're ever going to be ready for a competitive bout. So the first thing is the frequency of training. That comes into play. How often are you going to train a week? Minimum, I'd say 3 times, a minimum 3 times a week, and then probably doing bits and bobs for your own fitness outside of the gym, depending on how long you're training for. So let's now say we've got someone that's come in, never done anything, is training 3 times a week. The next thing will be, how quickly does that person learn? Now, some people do take longer than others. That's no fault of theirs. That's just how life is. Some people take longer to pick up things than others. If you're a maybe slightly slower learner, then yes, you might be training the same time as your friend, and you might be both training 3 times a week, but maybe he or she has picked things up a little bit quicker and maybe moving through that process into competing faster. Again, there's no right or wrong, that's just how we learn. Okay, so let's say now we're training 3 times a week. We've done no previous combat experience. We're training 3 times a week and we pick things up fairly quickly. Now we move from the mat work, from the conditioned work. Now we're going to get into the ring, and actually it's going to become a bit more real life. And again, this is where people may fall down. They may pick things up really quickly, but they can't seem to handle or adapt to the stresses of sparring, and that takes time for some. So they may progress to sparring quicker than someone else, but then they may struggle at sparring, and then someone else comes into sparring and overtakes them because they adapt to it quicker. So these are all things that coaches cannot answer until they have the athlete, the boxer, in the situation, and they can start to understand their boxer and their athlete. To give an exact answer, we can't. However, what I can do is just give you some examples of some of the boxers that I have worked with, and it may give you an idea of what you probably should expect. So the fastest I have got someone into the competing environment was 9 months. Now, there's a few things there as well that I need to mention. This person, she had a dancing background, but due to that was very quick at picking things up because her hands and feet were very coordinated, so she could pick things up maybe a lot faster than someone that didn't come from that dancing background. So she was a fast learner. She trained 3 to 4 times a week minimum, so she was in the gym a lot. And she went from, like I say, never really throwing any punches to a skills bout competition. A skills bout, the power is controlled, there's no winner or loser. So maybe if a boxer isn't quite up to that competitive level, but it's very, very, very close, they're very good at sparring, that kind of bridges the gap between their first bout and a spar. So that's where a skills bout level is. And that took 9 months to get one boxer to that level with everything that we were working with. So, you know, fast learner, trained a lot, and it was only a skills bout. To maybe go to the other end, again, this person's come from no real sporting background at all. From a non-competing boxer, it took 3 years to get them into the ring for their first bout. 9 months is, I'll be honest, is very, very quick. If we know from no previous experience to competing is quick. Skills bout, not so much, but a competitive first bout is pretty quick. 3 years, I've heard of longer, I've heard of shorter. So a 3-year point, you know, that's not terrible. So if you're looking to join an amateur boxing club with no previous experience, training 3 times a week, then I'm going to go for a real average. I would say a 1.5 years of good, solid training before you're ready for your first bout. That is just a rough number. There are so many other factors that come into that can make it slightly quicker, maybe, but definitely can make it longer. Guys, I hope you got something from that. It's just a question I get asked a lot. If you've got any questions, please comment below. If you like this, hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, and we'll put out some more frequently asked questions very soon.